What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to a news story from about a month ago that I completely missed, but apparently this has something to do with an American visiting the UK. So let's take a look here at what happened. It says, U.S. tourist arrested. He was arrested in a seaside town because he didn't understand UK laws? No, no. Man, what are you doing? Ugh. What are you doing? What are we doing here? You're traveling to another country, getting arrested, and you're traveling to another country not understanding the laws. You know, I almost get that if you're traveling somewhere else in the world, you might not know every single last law in that country. I get it if you're just visiting, but you should certainly know a lot about that country if you're going to be going there. And I don't know, this just kind of depends on, well, my question is, what law did he break? Because there's some things you should just know. Like, whoever you are when you're visiting the UK, you should just know not to do certain things. He didn't understand. Did he rob a store? And he's like, I didn't understand. I didn't know that was against the law here. Like, how stupid was this exactly? Holidaymaker, reportedly from an open carry U.S. state, had UK weapons laws explained to him by officers. He's from an open carry U.S. state. To me, that means an open carry gun state, which here in the United States, that's like over half of the states. Like most of the states, you're allowed to openly carry a gun if you buy one. You might have to have different permits in different states, maybe. I think most states don't require a permit to just carry it. But if you're concealing it, that's a different permit. If you're like hiding it under your jacket, if you want to carry it in your car, that's a different permit. But just to openly carry a gun in the U.S., believe it or not, more states than not allow you to do that. But you can't just... I feel like a lot of Americans might actually think this way, where they assume that the laws here in the United States are the same in the UK, or that the laws here apply in the UK, or I don't know what's wrong with people. So they explained to him, I mean, was it a gun that he had? How did he get a gun to the UK? Wait a minute. Owning a ninja sword in the UK will soon be illegal. Amid surge in knife crime. Okay, fair enough. British police arrested an American tourist who admitted to openly carrying a knife. A knife. It's a knife. That's not... I mean, that's not good, but it's a lot better than a gun. Thought there was some crazy American running around in the UK with a gun. Okay, good. But not good, because he was arrested. He admitted to carrying openly a knife on a British beachfront? British beach? What the heck is this story? What the heck is... What? I'm barely hanging on here. How stupid can you possibly be? Truly. Like, I've heard some pretty crazy stories of Americans doing stuff, like, abroad. And that, you know, there's kind of a stereotype that Americans are bad tourists and that we are ignorant of a lot of worldly things. And this is not helping our reputation. Why are we carrying a knife on the beach? Why? And he's saying, I didn't understand the law. I don't care if it's the law or not the law. Why are you carrying a knife around on the beach? let me be clear here. In the United States, this is not normal behavior. Like, just to be clear, like if I saw somebody here in the United States with a knife, really anywhere, openly carrying a knife, there's no reason to do that. I don't care if it's legal or not. It probably is legal here, but you're still going to get the police called on you. You still look incredibly suspicious and you're a danger. And you just don't do that. Even if you're like, I've actually never in my life, as far as I can remember, I've never even seen an American open carry a gun, even though it's legal. You just don't do that. It's just weird. Like, no. I'm sure there's Americans who have hidden guns concealed, and I've never been aware of that because I'm not seeing it. But I've never seen like if you're walking around town, even here in America with a knife or a gun, people are going to run away and call the police. Let alone in the UK, where it's even more, taboo to like. I don't quite remember all of the UK gun laws, but it's quite a bit stricter. It's infinitely more strict and controlled in the UK. The man had reportedly been sunbathing in Herne Bay on Thursday when locals reported to Kent police he was carrying a knife. Why are we sunbathing with a knife? Why? Why are we perpetuating the American stereotype that we're all idiots with this idiot behavior? The American repeatedly told officers that I come from an open carry state in the U.S. Stop. Man, dude, just stop. Don't be explaining yourself. Don't say, but it's allowed here in the United States. It's allowed back home. You're not in the United States. You're not. So stop. That's so embarrassing. That's so embarrassing that he even said that. I can do it back in the States. You're not in the States. You're in the UK. Learn the laws. If you're going to travel there, learn the laws. And there's really two things here. It's against the law in the UK. He should know that. And I don't care where you are in the world. Why are you carrying a knife around while sunbathing? That's just not normal behavior. He claimed he had the blade for protection. Protection against who? Who? On the beach. And he was unaware he could not carry it in public in the UK. Okay, like, we live in 2025 now. We live in 2025. It's the future. Get your phone out. Google it. ChatGPT it. Use technology to find out if you can carry a blade around. Ask a police officer if you have to. Am I allowed to carry a big old fat knife around and go sunbathing and dance on the beach? They're probably going to say no. And then you'll know. Ignorance is not an excuse. And I really hate that this is an American claiming ignorance as his excuse. I didn't know that I can't run around with a samurai sword on the beach. I didn't know. I don't know what kind of knife he actually had. But after being arrested on suspicion of possessing a knife, he was handed a community resolution where British law around the knife crime was fully explained to him. This guy got off really easy. He is very lucky. If all that happened was the police explained to him, fully explained the knife laws. Apparently, yeah, I didn't even really understand myself. I'm going to be honest. I didn't know that knives were so, like, very much illegal, like, in most of the UK, or, like, this big topic of discussion, or, because here in the United States, it's just like, it'd be very strange to have a knife in public, but people own knives. If you're, like, doing hunting or working in a profession that needs a knife, or, I don't know, at home, certainly, people own knives at home, and none of it is a big deal. But running around in public with a knife, like, it's one of those other Americans carrying their guns is probably going to shoot you for carrying the knife because you look crazy, and then I'm not saying that's a good thing, but don't do it. Just don't do it. It was explained to him. Okay. It was quite strange. I was walking around, walking the dog on the seafront, and I saw a man relaxing on the grass, listening to his phone. I carried on walking, and when I turned around, I noticed a police car and two police officers talking to him, then two more officers talking to him. I believe the tourist had picked up a steak knife from the kitchen of his rental property. He took a steak. It's not even. Now we're just making fun of the knife he had. I don't know if that's productive, but it wasn't even like a little pocket knife or a switchblade or whatever. It was a giant steak knife for cutting meat. You're at the beach with a giant steak knife. And you have the audacity when you're caught by police to say, nobody told me that was against the law. That is one of the most idiotic things I've heard. The police said they were called to report a man had been seen with a knife. They attended, and officers attended, and a man who is a U.S. citizen and was on holiday there was arrested for possessing a knife. The man did admit to possessing the knife and explained he had not understood UK law around possession of knives. I will admit, this is not an excuse, but this guy has lived his whole life thinking carrying a knife is not a big deal. Like, I don't know where he's from in the United States. Maybe he's from Texas or something. That would explain it. Probably has a gun, too. And walking around his cattle ranch. And he's got his knives all the time. To him, knives are second nature. Not a big deal. Whatever. Sees them all the time. Goes to the UK. Picks up a steak knife from his kitchen. As you do. And goes to the beach. No. None of this is no matter how I try to think of this, none of this is normal behavior, even here in America, really. And then to say he didn't understand the law, I actually believe that. I'm inclined to believe he's telling the truth. He did not understand the law. He did not understand he was breaking the law. I guess the UK has had trouble with knives and knife crime, and is really cracking down on that. This guy didn't bother to learn any of that before going to the UK. He doesn't think it's a big deal. He's also really weird and thinks he needs protection at the beach. And he grabbed a giant steak knife and thought it was all okay. As stupid as it all sounds, I'm inclined to believe he's telling the truth. And he even openly admitted to police. Once he was detained, he didn't deny it. He was like, yeah, this is my knife. This is my good old knife here. Back away! Back! No. The knife was seized. And it was dealt with by community resolution, and the law was explained to him. He's very lucky that they decided to be lenient and understanding, really. Really, it's just that the UK police were like, okay, this is just a genuine idiot, so there's no need to, throw him in jail. Maximum penalty for an adult carrying a knife or weapon illegally is 4 years in prison, or a fine. This guy could have been in prison for years in the UK, and they would have been within their rights to do it. British law states offenders will get a prison sentence if they are convicted of carrying a knife. More than once. Okay. He's lucky. He is lucky that's the case. Exceptions are folding pocket knives that have a cutting edge no longer than 3 inches. Oh, interesting. There are some knives that are legal in the UK then. Okay. There's a Reddit discussion about this. I just want to quickly take a look at some of the comments about this article. Now that I've given my thoughts as an American, what are people in the UK saying about this? I can't imagine this is good. Claiming he had the blade for protection. The day I need a knife for protection on a beach is the day I stop going to that beach. No kidding. No freaking kidding. What the heck? Where was he? Did he really believe he needed protection on this beach? Jeez, just don't go. Just don't go. If you're that in fear of your life, just don't do it. Gee. It sounds like the American obsession with carrying and displaying weapons is basically just mental illness. That could be true for the Americans who are obsessed with that. There is a small demographic of Americans who are obsessed with weapons and stuff. Most Americans, like myself, would find this to be extremely strange behavior. Let me be very clear about that. It does sound like he's mentally ill, and this is not normal behavior, even here in America. You don't go to the beach with a knife. You don't go to the beach with a gun. No, no, just no. It might be. It's legal. Let me be clear. It's legal, I believe, in a lot of states. It is legal to do all that. You just don't do it. It's part of our American culture and our society. We do a lot of crazy stuff here, but we have some cordial agreements, some, societal pacts where we, as a society, agree we don't do that. Oh my God. Members of my American husband's family won't leave America to visit because they can't bring their guns. That's mentally ill behavior. Yes, I agree. A community resolution is just a chat, right? It sounds like a weird, stupid story, or a weird story of a stupid American being well-handed and resolved by the police. Very true. Stupid American. This was a stupid American. He's making us all Americans look really stupid. And he's really perpetuating this, I think, very common thought that all Americans are knife and gun and weapon obsessed. Where, you can believe me or not, whatever you want, but I'm telling you, as an American living in the United States, this is not normal behavior. No matter how you cut it. Even worse, he was listening to music on his phone in public without using headphones. That deserves far worse than a talking to. Very true. Now that is normal American behavior. That I'll openly admit. Listening to music without headphones, letting it play, especially on a beach or a public area. In some public areas, like a beach, that's totally normal, and it's annoying. It's annoying that that's normal. Yes, I agree. The American told officers he came from an open carry state in the U.S. That really tiffs me off as well. That is just the height of ignorance and stupidity and really arrogance. Really, like you're going to the UK, another country, not bothering to learn the laws, especially laws around weapons, especially if you intend on carrying a weapon. The more I think about it, the more unacceptable this is, and I actually think this American should have faced like a fine at the very least, because that is just not acceptable behavior. You can't go to another country and carry around knives and just say, I didn't know, I didn't. You can't. No, that's not. You need to know that's not okay. Your laws don't mean crap in the UK. Yeah, exactly. Should have detained him for 3 weeks with no legal consult. I think this is a reference to there was at least one story I've heard of where a Canadian visited the United States and was detained for like 12 days, like against her will, and then eventually released when she made it into a big news story. So yeah, I think that's what they're alluding to. In America, you can be detained with no legal consult, held for 3 weeks. That's right. Give us a taste of our own medicine, I guess, there. Yeah, I think that's crazy. That's crazy. That's embarrassing. It's sad that there's Americans who are like this, but they certainly exist. I mean, we literally just read a news story about it. But I like to think that's not representative of most of us. It's just that it does feel like, it feels like, I did a video recently where a comedian in the UK said, stupid Americans are extra stupid. They are stupider than most other stupid people around the world. Everybody has stupid people. Every country has stupid people. American stupid people somehow seem to be extra stupid somehow. Uh, And this is kind of the perfect example of that. So this almost drove me a bit crazy. But I did kind of strangely enjoy learning about this, and I'm glad he was caught and reprimanded. And I hate to hear that this happened, but it was really fascinating at the same time. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on this news story. That'd be very interesting to hear, especially if you're from the UK, since this happened in the UK. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.